The shadow of history looms long over the present, nowhere more starkly than in the volatile relationship between Poland and Russia. It's a narrative steeped in centuries of conflict, mistrust, and shifting borders, a story that continues to unfold with alarming intensity on the geopolitical stage. Just recently, the Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued an urgent advisory, urging its citizens to leave Russia by any available means. This wasn't merely a cautionary note, it was a stark declaration of deepening animosity, citing escalating security risks, complex legal hurdles, and severely limited consular support. For Polish citizens residing in Russia, the implications are profound. Direct flights have ceased, banking services are increasingly restricted, and perhaps most concerning, dual Polish-Russian citizens face the very real threat of mandatory military service in Russia, a chilling echo of past conscriptions. Russia, for its part, has officially designated Poland as an unfriendly nation, further exacerbating tensions by closing 2 Polish consulates, effectively crippling the already strained diplomatic channels. This move isn't just symbolic, it significantly curtails the ability of Polish authorities to assist their citizens, leaving many in a precarious position. But this diplomatic chill is merely the surface ripple of a much larger undercurrent: Poland's relentless and unprecedented military modernization. Warsaw is engaged in a monumental rearmament program, rapidly transforming its armed forces into one of Europe's most formidable. A cornerstone of this ambitious undertaking is the recent agreement with South Korea for the acquisition of 180 K2 Black Panther tanks. This isn't just a transaction, it's a strategic partnership valued at a staggering $6.70 billion, encompassing not only the cutting-edge tanks, but also a comprehensive package of support vehicles, ammunition, logistics, and crucial training for Polish crews. What makes this deal particularly significant is the commitment to produce approximately 60 of these tanks on Polish soil, signifying a vital transfer of technology and bolstering Poland's domestic defense industry. This strategic move positions Poland not only as a pivotal European military power, but also solidifies South Korea's burgeoning role as a major global arms supplier, stepping into a vacuum created by depleted US weapon stockpiles. Beyond the K2 tanks, Poland has also invested heavily in 9 self-propelled howitzers and Fa-50 fighter jets from South Korea, systematically replacing its aging Soviet-era arsenal, much of which has been generously transferred to Ukraine in support of its defense. This military buildup is not just about acquiring hardware, it's about a fundamental shift in Poland's strategic posture. Warsaw is projected to allocate an astonishing 4.7% of its GDP to defense in 2025, making it NATO's highest defense spender relative to its economic output. This commitment far exceeds the alliance's 2% target, underscoring Poland's perceived urgency in bolstering its defenses. However, this aggressive spending spree isn't without its critics. Experts caution that many of these massive defense deals are financed by loans from the very countries supplying the arms, potentially creating a significant financial burden for Poland in the long run. Furthermore, while equipment acquisition is progressing rapidly, Poland faces considerable challenges in significantly increasing its military personnel, a crucial factor for effective force projection and sustained defense. The question remains, can Poland truly build a formidable army without a commensurate increase in its human capital? To truly grasp the intensity of Poland's current actions, one must delve into the deep well of history that shapes its national consciousness. The animosity between Poland and Russia is not a recent phenomenon. It is a historical tapestry woven with threads of invasion, occupation, and betrayal. From the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth's occupation of Moscow in 1610, a moment of Polish ascendancy, to the devastating partitions of Poland by its powerful neighbors, including Russia, in the late 18th century, these events etched a profound sense of vulnerability and grievance into the Polish psyche. The Polish-Soviet War of 1920, a brutal conflict that saw Poland miraculously repel the Bolshevik advance, is celebrated as the miracle on the Vistula, a testament to national resilience against Russian aggression. Then came 1939. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, and the dual invasion of Poland by Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union, followed by decades of Soviet domination under the Warsaw Pact. These aren't just dates in a textbook. They are living memories, passed down through generations, shaping a collective trauma and an ingrained suspicion of Russian intentions. This historical narrative is actively taught in Polish schools, commemorated in national holidays, and serves as a constant reminder of past subjugation, fueling a deep-seated fear that many observers describe as an obsession. This historical anxiety, the video argues, is not merely an internal Polish phenomenon, but is cleverly exploited by Western powers, particularly the United States, to position Poland as a strategic bulwark against Russia. Poland, with its geographic proximity to Russia and its unwavering anti-Russian stance, has enthusiastically embraced its role as a key frontline state for NATO. Warsaw actively lobbies for a stronger NATO presence in Eastern Europe, pushing for increased troop deployments, military exercises, and missile defense systems. Russia, predictably, views these actions as a direct threat, a violation of its perceived red lines in its near abroad. The video suggests that Poland's eagerness to fulfill this frontline role is driven less by a purely objective assessment of security needs and more by its historical anxieties and an almost desperate desire to prove its loyalty to NATO and Washington. It paints a picture of Poland acting as a loyal, if somewhat overzealous, pawn in a larger geopolitical chess game, potentially sacrificing its own independent strategic thinking for the sake of alliance solidarity. The contrasting narratives presented in the video are striking. Russia is depicted as quiet, resolute, and steadfast, while Poland is characterized by constant alarm and even panic. This portrayal suggests that Russia doesn't need to engage in overt aggression to provoke a response from Poland. Its mere existence and a calm, unwavering demeanor are enough to trigger Poland's deeply ingrained historical fears. This psychological dimension is crucial to understanding the current dynamic. Indeed, the video is sharply critical of Poland's foreign policy towards Russia, describing it as reactive, emotionally driven, and lacking independent strategic foresight. It posits that Poland is actively isolating itself, becoming overly dependent on Western powers, and potentially sacrificing its own sovereignty and the possibility of constructive dialogue with its eastern neighbor. The massive arms buildup, from this perspective, is not a path to genuine security, but rather a symptom of this pervasive fear, a desperate attempt to fortify itself against a perceived existential threat. The narrative suggests that historical grievances are not merely remembered but are actively weaponized by Poland and amplified by the West to justify current anti-Russian policies, creating a self-perpetuating cycle of mistrust and escalation. Beyond the video's specific points, the broader context of NATO's eastern flank is critical. Poland sits at the heart of this strategic region, particularly guarding the Suwalki Gap, a narrow critical land corridor between Poland and Lithuania, separating Belarus from the Russian exclave of Kaliningrad. Control of this gap is seen as vital for NATO's ability to reinforce the Baltic states. Poland's military modernization, therefore, isn't just about national defense. It's about bolstering NATO's collective defense capabilities in a highly sensitive area. NATO's regular exercises, such as Defender Europe and Anaconda, frequently involve significant deployments in Poland, underscoring its strategic importance and the alliance's commitment to its eastern members. These exercises, while defensive in nature from NATO's perspective, are invariably viewed by Russia as provocative and escalatory. The economic implications of Poland's defense spending also extend beyond just the loans. While the immediate boost to the defense industry is evident, such massive capital outlays can divert resources from other critical sectors like education, healthcare, or infrastructure. The long-term economic sustainability of such a rapid military expansion, especially if financed by foreign debt, remains a significant question mark. Furthermore, Poland's role as a major arms purchaser and increasingly a producer reshapes the global arms market dynamics, creating new dependencies and alliances. The concept of the security dilemma is highly relevant here. In international relations, the security dilemma describes a situation in which actions taken by a state to increase its own security, e.g., building up its military, are perceived as threatening by other states, leading those other states to take similar actions, thereby creating a spiral of increasing tension and conflict, even if no state initially intended aggression. Poland's rapid rearmament, while intended for its own defense, is undoubtedly seen by Russia as a direct threat, fueling Russia's own military posturing and rhetoric. Ultimately, this complex interplay of history, fear, and modern geopolitics paints a sobering picture. Poland, a nation deeply scarred by its past, is making significant military and diplomatic moves that, from one perspective, are driven by an understandable desire for security, but from another, are influenced by historical anxieties and external strategic imperatives. This dynamic positions Poland as a critical, yet potentially vulnerable, linchpin in a broader geopolitical confrontation between the West and Russia. The consequences of this escalating tension extend far beyond the borders of these two nations, impacting the stability of the entire European continent and raising profound questions about the future of international relations. Will history continue to dictate the future, or can a new path be forged, one that prioritizes dialogue and de-escalation over perpetual mistrust and military buildup? The answer remains uncertain, but the stakes could not be higher.